Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. Now, you'll know if you've been watching the channel that I've recently finished my live board, which is this board here, which incorporates all of the Blue Guitar accessories and the Blue Guitar Amp 1. Now, this is going to be my live board, but I do a lot of recording work in the studio, and recently I got one of these, which is the Boss IR-200, which is a fantastic sounding amp and cabinet simulator. Now, I'd like to incorporate the IR-200 more for my studio recording, but also if I'm ever doing a gig and it needs to be a silent stage, I think this is going to be the thing that I'm going to be using. So in this video, what I'd like to do is to try and fit all of these pedals that I use in the studio onto a board. Now, the board that I'm going to be using is this Alder and Ash pedal board. Now, this Alder and Ash pedal board incorporates my Boss ES8 switching system. Now, the Boss ES8 switching system is a really great way of incorporating many different pedals, and you can put them in any combination you want inside the ES8. So you go into the software and you can switch around the order of the pedals. So what I would like to do with this is to try and incorporate all of these pedals onto this pedal board. Now, I don't know how much space I've got, but I'm going to try and incorporate as many of these pedals on this board as possible. So let me just show you a couple of things about this pedal board before we start. If I put it down there. Because we're using the ES8, it's got this little cutout on it. And the great thing about these Alder and Ash pedal boards is I can lift this up and I've got more space to put more pedals underneath if I want to, but it also keeps it really neat for sort of power cables and all the patch cables that I need to incorporate. The first thing I want to do with this is to sort out an order before I start wiring anything up. Now, I'm going to need a tuner. The great thing about the ES8 is the ES8 has a tuner out, so I'm not going to be using any of the pedal inserts on the ES8 as it's got the separate tuner out. Now, I could incorporate this anywhere I want, but I'm going to stick it right at the end, and hopefully that's going to be enough space. Let's do it a bit about there. Now, on the other side, I'm going to start with a compressor. I always use a compressor, so I'm going to stick that over there. What I'm going to try and do with this pedal board is to work from the lowest gain to the highest gain. Now, I'm not going to be using some mega high gain pedals with this. I'm just going to be using sort of tube screamer style pedals. But before I start incorporating any overdrives, I want to use an equalizer. Now, the Boss Equalizer is a fantastic pedal and you can use it for many different functions. Now, what I'm going to be using this for is a clean boost and also EQing guitar. So if I've got a guitar that's slightly darker, I can EQ it before it goes into the IR-200 or into a separate amp. Now, I haven't got a lot of space on this pedal board, so I'm going to try and shift them over as close as they can possibly go. Now I'm getting a bit torn because I'd like to incorporate this exotic super clean, but that's a boost and a buffer, so I might leave that just to the end and see if I've got any extra space. But let's put in the next pedal, which is going to be the next layer of overdrive, which I think I'm going to use this Earthquaker Devices Plumes. This is a great sounding pedal. If you're looking for a really nice quality sort of TS9, TS8 sort of sounding pedal, absolutely brilliant. The great thing about this as well, it's top mounted, so it takes up even less space. So let's stick that there. Next, I'm going to use Old Faithful, which is a Boss SD1. Now, this is the anniversary edition. These are great sounding pedals. If you want like a really nice pedal to drive the front of an amp, really good choice. Stick that there. Right, now I can see that I'm running out of space. I want to get the IR-200 in, and I also want to get the Boss DD-200, which is the delay. Now, again, I can switch this in and out by using the ES8, so I don't have to use the IR-200. I can switch this straight into the front of an amp. If I'm doing a bigger gig and I want to take this pedal board along, I can do that as well. And I can also set this up so this runs into front of house, but the other part of a pedal board goes into an amp. So we want to get the IR-200 in there and the DD-200 in there. Let's get all this wired up first of all and see where we are from there. Okay, it's taken quite a few hours to do this, even though it doesn't look like I've done that much. And underneath this part of the board is an absolute mess. So I think what I'll do eventually is just to, I'll probably actually buy some more cables and do this properly, because it is a rat's nest under there. Anyway, so what we've got from right to left, this is my right to left, we've got compressor, we've got the equalizer, we've got the Earthquake Devices plumes, we've got the Boss Super Overdrive SD1, then we've got the IR-200, then we've got the DD-200 delay, and then we've got the Polytune. Now underneath the board is a tremolo pedal. The reason it's underneath the board is because it's a bit of a hideous looking pedal. I think it was like a bit of a custom made pedal that I bought years and years and years ago, but it's a bit of a mess. I'll take a picture and I'll show you guys. So everything's plugged into the ES8. So the sound of the guitar signal at the moment, this is DI'd, so this is not going through any of these pedals. It's like that. So if I want to bring in the IR-200, I could bring it in there. Now all the effects are coming from this board, so all the reverb is coming from the IR-200, and there's going to be delays that are going to be coming from the DD-200. So if I want to bring in the DD-200, that's next in the chain. So I've got a modulated delay on this pedal. Now, as I said, underneath the board, I've got a tremolo pedal. I can bring that in there. So turn off the delay. Let's turn off the trem pedal at the moment. So now I can bring in the compressor. Actually, let's turn the delay off. Next in the line is a G7. Now the G7 has been used as a boost, but it's also taming some frequencies of certain guitars that I want to tame. So things like the low mids and the low frequencies that are going to muddy up the mix a bit. So I can bring that in on pedal 2. Right, next I've got the plume. So if I want to bring an overdrive in before the IR-200, I could bring that in there. Next I've got the SD1. Now over here I've also got an expression pedal and a volume pedal. Now the volume pedal is a straight in and out volume pedal. This goes into the ES8, and you can set this position wherever you want inside the ES8's chain. So I've got this after all the pedals, just before the IR-200. And the expression pedal is plugged into the expression input on the IR-200. I could, if I want to, plug that into the ES8 and then run another cable out to here or other pedals as well, so you can run it in multiple instances. But all I've got this doing at the moment inside the ES8 is just adding some extra gain. So here's what it sounds like, a standard gain. And if I bring in some more gain, and then I can add the pedals in on top of that. As I said earlier in the video, this is either going to be like a silent stage rig, so I could just take this along. This can go straight into the PA system, and then I'm not creating any noise on the stage, silent stage. Or it's going to be a recording rig, so I can run this straight out of the IR-200, and then that's going to go into my recording interface. Anyway, I really hope you guys got something out of that. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, click on the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.